was choice paralysis of the Mahjong game. I'll tell you that much. Let me.
God, Bear Fat makes so many corsages. Holy shit. I love MMOs for being able to say shit like that and it being fine.
We're live.
Oh, sick.
Hi, boys.
Hello.
I just kinda did that. It's been a while. It hasn't really. It's been a bit, a little, just a tiny bit. What's up, everybody? We haven't done this in a while. I think tonight we actually, unless someone has a strong opinion not to do this, what have we been up to, boys?
Doing what we've been up to.
I have a lot, so I can either go first or last.
I mean, we all have a lot, so let's like temper what we want to talk about. Yeah, let's just like the core, like the important stuff, you know. I'll go first to set the bar. I'm back to reading One Piece. I have not made progress for like the last couple of days, but that's fine. So I am in Dressrosa, and maybe I may be at the point of return of a character who I'm ecstatic to be back if I have read the room right. Because Luffy has just left the Colosseum. And as far as I know, there's only one character that scene lines up for, and that is the return of Bon Clay. And that is my assumption, because that is how it reads. But I will see. I will be ecstatic if that is the way. Anime Awards happened. I'm not gonna talk much about it, and I recommend we don't, because I'm just gonna get mad about it when we talk about it.
Demon Slayer wins Best Fantasy. Let's go.
I have so many. Well, we could do an entire podcast about faults and opinions with that. But hey, congrats, Jujutsu Kaisen. Hopefully you won't win next year. Then is how we make this fair.
Theoretically, it shouldn't be in next year because
I also don't think
they used the poster for the Shibuya incident stuff in half of its words.
I also legitimately
also
don't think it would win next year.
I don't know if the Shibuya incident part's the better portion of it, from what I understand.
Yeah, but they get to deal with like free Ren and solo leveling and like Shangri-La. And like everything else that's coming out in the rest of this year, like the Spice and Wolf remake.
One Piece was nominated for 2 awards and won both of them because it's called One Piece.
Yes.
Jujutsu Kaisen
Kaisen also set the record for the most like losses at the Anime Awards this year.
Chainsaw Man, yeah.
Oh, Chainsaw Man did that. Yeah. It's not a
9 nominations, or 9 nominations that did not win, I believe. But that was, it had like 2 or 3, for what it, because they took it with kickback, I think. No, they didn't. I thought they did.
No,
they got a voice actor
opening
somewhere.
and ending both went to
JJK.
It's English VA went to Dennis,
which is very good. But yeah, don't want to talk too much about that. I've been playing lots of D&D. I will continue to play D&D. On the D&D channel that is in the description under my socials. Tomorrow at 1 p.m. Friend of the podcast and former co-host Dylan and I will be doing our session 0 for the Grim Hollow campaign we are in. He is a lizard wizard and I'm a bugbear. If you know anything about Grim Hollow, these are bad decisions. I believe the rest of the party is a pair of twin totals, a kobold, and another monster race. So we're a great party for this campaign setting. So that will be fun. And then Thursday, we have the week off from the Lost Mines of Phandelver campaign. So I am running a session of my campaign, and it's going to be a very important session of my campaign. So that'll be fun. That'll be 8 p.m. on Thursday. In terms of anime news that I have been doing, I need to watch the newest episode of the Unwanted Undead Adventure. I got like 5 minutes into it and stopped because I had to do other things. I'm caught up with Moonlit. I am up through episode 23 of Frieren. I'm just gonna wait for the rest of it to drop, because catching up to it was incredible, and I'd rather just wait to finish out the last, 4 episodes. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 5. The last 5 episodes.
That's fair.
It's very good. I'm excited. I plan to catch up on Shangri-La Frontier because I've heard equally good things about it. I am still watching Moonlit Fantasy. Incredible show. Highly recommend. Very good. It is a show that kills me to watch week by week. But I will continue to do so because I am committed. And outside of that, I am not. I have made the call to not continue anything else that we have already voted off so far. I am not interested and I do not care. So far. We'll see how that goes for some other stuff.
Me going, okay, what's actually been voted off? See, oh yeah, no, I don't particularly care about finishing any of these.
Well, you don't want to go back and watch Way of the Pawn with me?
Way of the Pawn.
No.
Instead, I've simply started playing Mahjong. Crazy how that works. Also, Michael asked me this question, I believe, where he went, Sean, why did you start playing Monster Hunter World again? Because I did recently start doing that. I know what the answer was. I found it out. It's solo leveling. Because watching him fight bosses makes me want to play Monster Hunter, and considering my current run is Twin Daggers, it makes lots of sense. I too want to take a dagger to Big Wolf, and commit murder. That game's still incredible. I think that's it for me. I don't think I have anything else particularly going on of note.
Did you want to go next, Mason?
I mean, mine's a bit of a bummer, so...
Uh-oh.
Well, yes.
Yeah. So I'll just get the not fun stuff out of the way right away. Today was my last day at my job because I got laid off. I've been playing a lot of 14 because Michael's been playing a lot of 14, and that's gotten me back into it. I've been playing a good amount of D&D, and I'm also about to run a campaign. I'm going to be running a Curse of Strahd campaign, so I'm excited about that. And then I've also been playing the new Marvel Multiverse role-playing game, which is like Marvel D&D where you're playing as superheroes, and it's very fun. I'm playing as Psylocke, and it's a great time. Yeah. In terms of anime, I've just really been watching podcast stuff, and then I feel like there was something else I was watching, but I cannot remember. Oh, I started watching Mashal Season 2 as well. I'm a little bit into that, but not very far. Bling Bang Bang Boom is still one of the best openings of all time. Cannot change my mind on that.
You just reminded me. Freeren's second opening is fucking incredible.
Yeah, it is.
And I will say this with all certainty, you are not ready for what Freeren's second ED is.
Okay.
That show makes decisions.
I'm excited to get there. I do intend on going back to that really as well, because I'm gonna have time.
Mason, something else we're gonna have to do. Because next season's bringing things to us. I think. Let me double check before I open my mouth too much. I actually have my anime list open, so let me just double. If I am correct, there are 2 things we need to get you caught up on for spring.
Okay.
It might just be
Oh
one.
yes, Slime Season 3's happening.
Yes, and then is it for summer we have to get you through Tower of God. But
I need to get through Tower of God.
Okay, for summer I have to get you all through Tower of God besides John.
Apparently, the whole 12 episodes of it. It's a lot.
But no, we have to catch you up on Slime, my man. Which you have already started.
I mean, I'm a decent chunk into it.
Kind of.
I'm like almost done with the first season.
Yeah, that's where it gets complicated. because I believe if I recall correctly, Slime's thing is that it's the first season, and then it has season 2 part 1, which I think is 12 episodes, and then it has season 2 part season 2 part 2 is also just 12. Okay, I for some reason thought it had more. It feels like it has more. But yeah, no, that'll be fun to get you through.
Yeah. And then manga, I haven't read today's chapter, but I'm caught up on Chainsaw Man.
It's weird. Oh shit, there was a chapter like today that I didn't read.
Yeah, it was like quite literally today. I think I'm like a chapter behind in JJK now.
Yeah, if the new one came out, which I think it has, I also need to read that.
252 is the one that I haven't read, so I don't know if 253's come out, but
no, 251 was the last one I read. So
yeah, 251 is the last one I read as well. I've heard 252 went crazy, and then I'm caught up on One Piece because One Piece is wild right now and has been since basically the start of this arc.
Yeah, it has been for the past like 100 chapters.
Like, unironically, One Piece for the past probably 5-6 months now has been arguably the best One Piece ever. Period.
I know we say that a lot, and that's because it's true every time.
It just gets better.
It just gets better, and I don't know how Oda does this. The man's insane. But yeah, that's been about it. I don't think I've really been doing anything.
You've been
else.
doing one other thing, Mason. We just did it last night.
Oh yeah, we've gone back to playing Virtue's Last Reward. And that game's very fun. And
that's a word for it.
I enjoy it quite a bit. There are certainly moments that are annoying as shit, and also points where I'm just like, okay, I guess this is what's happening.
We are starting to get to the point where things are going to start coming together. Mason, I'm not gonna lie to you. Mason just hit a story lock that he is quite literally going to go, if he does things like the way I expect him to because of how he's played the game so far, he's going to immediately unlock that lock we hit, which is really funny.
Fair. Knowing me, it's probably like on the, because I'm going to have to go back to the first section of this route and like do the next line of it.
Basically,
probably gonna be...
the two things you have a door choice and an ally betray choice that you could go back to right now. So it just depends on which one you do.
Oh yeah, I have to go do I'll probably do the other door then first, and then do the ally betray again. But we'll see. But yeah, game's very good. If you like that style of game, I guess. Good is a hard word to use for anything Kodaka and Ushikoshi make. Are they well made? Sure. Are they good? Well,
I assure you this game is good because the real threshold of or the content that these guys make good or not is ZTD. That is, if you like ZTD, like Michael and I talked, there's a chance you might not like ZTD, and that might be the most terrifying outcome of this, is that you sit down and you go, I don't want to finish this game. I don't know what we do then, because Michael and I are sitting on loads of just gold gems.
Gold. ZTD is an absolute shit show of a video game, and it is an absolute... I don't love it.
But it might also do some things narratively that I adore. That, like, I don't think you can get over. Like, this is the Danganronpa thing as well, and, like, the Phoenix Wright thing of, like, the reason these games are so popular is that you play through them, and then the things you find out as you play through them, you go, oh, I didn't know you could do that. And then you now want everyone else to know that that can be done. And that is the joy of it. But if you know the things are coming, they are less good.
I'm excited because I have.
This is my favorite
snail.
And
I have one of the last conversations I had with one of my coworkers. I think it was yesterday. Actually, we were just kind of sitting there because it was our second to last day we weren't doing jack shit. And we were talking about video games, and I was like, yeah, I've been playing this game called Virtue's Last Reward. It's part of a series. I explained the idea of, 9 people get kidnapped and you do escape room sim. He's like, that sounds cool. And I'm like, I think you'll enjoy it, but I have to make you aware there's a lot of pseudoscience bullshit.
Yeah, but you can like actively, you could actively ignore it for a point.
You can ignore it in the first game, maybe for
to a point. To a point. John, John, for context, by the way, we hit a very funny point in VLR last night where a character goes, "This is my 3rd time doing this," to which point the main character goes, "What do you mean it's your 3rd time?" And they go, "Well, the first time happened, and then the second time happened, but I don't think this is related to either of those two." And they go, "Why?" And they go, "Well, the person who ran the first one couldn't run this one and didn't run the second one." And they go, and you just sit there, and if you don't know what the fuck's going on, you would go, "What the fuck are you talking about? You sound insane." To which the main character goes, "Now, you have to answer me honestly. Are you sure you are not a problem?"
And this is right before as well.
That character goes batshit insane.
Choice, they are a problem.
Mm-hmm. That sounds like certainly an experience, to say the least.
Yeah.
It's fun. It's a good time. But yeah, that's me.
We'll go Michael, and we'll end on John. Michael, what have you been doing?
Okay. I mean, since the last time we did one of these, I both started and beat Baldur's Gate 3. Almost twice. Because the first time, technically, I started playing the game because a friend was like, "You should play the game. It's really good." And I was like, "Fair, it is really good. It's just hard to get." He was like, "Co-op." So we had a 3-person co-op that got like decently far, and then I went, "Yeah, okay, now I want to play the game by myself when we can't be playing co-ops." Then I started a single player. The co-op's still not done yet, because we started playing Helldivers.
Like actual D&D, the co-op is not done yet.
Yeah, we're in Act 3. We're like really close. We're going up to the like second or third to last fight that we need to do before finishing Act. But yeah, I know, and I beat the game myself, and I have started like 4 other playthroughs that are all still in the Nautiloid. But I wanted to make characters because one night I really wanted to make characters. I also started playing Risk of Rain 2. That game's really cool. It also pisses me off sometimes, but that's because it's a roguelike, and when you're playing on hard difficulties, if you get fucked on RNG, you just get mad. Hashtag I've done Eclipse 8 a whole one time and never want to do it again for people who've played Risk of Rain 2.
I'm gonna say something quick, just because I don't think our co-hosts are aware. When Michael says he gets mad at a game, he gets mad at a game.
Yeah, normally I'm kind of just vibing with games. I got legitimately pissed at some of these runs I lost because it feels out of your control when you lose some runs in this game.
I know this because I've seen Michael play a couple of games that have actually made him mad. Those are times.
You've watched me do the fucking data fights in KH3.
I have.
I never actually did those. I feel
I didn't finish all of them.
I also
fraudulent to have never gone back
is legitimately a bad fight.
I also roomed with you when Smash Ultimate came out.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, no, I'm a really bad loser.
Hey man,
there's a reason I don't play a lot of competitive games. But yeah, also Helldivers 2 came out. That game's pretty cool.
The game's nuts.
It's a pretty good something super something. I'm looking at my Steam games that I've played, and I go, oh yeah, I played Dying Light 2 for a whole 3 hours because an update came out like 2 weeks ago where they added guns back to the game. Because Dying Light 1 had guns, and then Dying Light 2, they were like, let's not put the guns in the game. I agree with. The guns were a stupid mechanic in Dying Light 1. And I know people will say that's a stupid opinion, and they're wrong. In Dying Light 1, what happened is that when you hit endgame, every single like major human enemy had a gun. And if they shot a gun, it made sound. And if anything makes sound in this game, it summons like 7 zombies to the location. And that would just loop every time you walked vaguely near a human enemy in Endgame. Which just was unfun to do and sucked.
And hear me out. Once again, I'm going to vouch for Michael here. He might be the only person I know who I've ever heard talk about Dying Light 1. Therefore, I trust his opinion on this.
No, a lot of people really like Dying Light 1. I think it's a good game. I'm also one of like 7 people in the world who thinks Dying Light 2 is a better game.
That was the one you beat when we were on campus, right?
I beat both of them on campus, pretty sure.
That was I just remember you playing a game where you were up in like a really high skyscraper, and that was like a thing.
That would have been 2.
Yeah.
Started playing Terraria again, but I'm like 5 hours into World, and that was just me being bored when I was like, fuck it, Terraria time.
That's also not new.
That's gonna be me in about 2 weeks when the new Stardew update comes out.
Yeah. But outside of all that, Mason kind of mentioned I've been playing a little bit of Final Fantasy XIV.
Just
a little bit.
No.
But last time we did this, I was still, I believe, in post Heavensward.
Yeah.
I am now an entire expansion past that point. I am now in Shadowbringers. I finished Stormblood in that port.
Wait, Shadowbringers? You mean the free expansion? You can play up to level 70?
That free.
That one's not free. That's one of the 2 that is free.
But I have finished base game A Realm Reborn and critically acclaimed expansion Heavensward and award-winning expansion Heavensward and award-winning expansion Stormblood.
He is officially out of the free trial.
Yeah, I'm at the point where you no longer can play with the free trial. 300 hours into the game. At least.
I'm so sad that the new meme for 14 isn't quite true, which was, what do you mean you don't have Ultimates? It came free with your fucking Xbox. That is an actual thing that we were hoping was going to be a thing, because the free trial was coming to Xbox, but unfortunately, you don't get Ultimates on that.
Man, but they're part of they're level 70.
Yeah, but they don't let you do them. It's really dumb.
Because those Ultimates are from content that you do own. They are the rehash of the content you do own. Man. Yeah. But yeah, Final Fantasy XIV is a pretty good video game. Once you get like past the slog that is the beginning of it, it's real good. Stormblood, like, they learned how to make encounters that are fun. Like, consistently fun. Because, like, Heavensward has, like, some pretty good things. It also has Anti-Tower. Anti-Tower's fine. But, like, when I think of Heavensward, I think of, like, a Therochemical Research Plant, which is a based-ass dungeon. And I think of can't even think of, like, other ones. But, like, Stormblood, every dungeon and trial, that's fucking crazy. The, like, second to last trial of that, the one I did with Mason, the moon one, that shit was peak. Oh my god.
Tsukiyomi is such
a good trial.
It's such a cool fight, and like narratively, in the middle of the fight, it's incredible.
Yeah, it's so good. But yeah. John, what have you been up to?
So I've had an eventful couple week here. I have not worked since last Monday, and it was great. Looked at houses, got outbid on more houses. Very cool, very fun. I went to not 1 but 3 Pokemon mid-season showdowns this week, which are like basically there's like the regional events, which are like the big ones of like hundreds of people from across the country, right? There's internationals, which are the biggest ones, then regionals, which are like the main circle ones, and there's mid-season showdowns and premier challenges. The mid-season showdowns are like your locals, but like with higher stakes, basically. So I went to one on Thursday, Saturday, and Sunday. The one on Thursday was at 4:30 in the afternoon. You might think, oh, that's a pretty early time for a Thursday. There shouldn't be that many people there. There were still 27 fucking people, including 4 players who are arguably like top 50 to top 100 players in North America. That came up from like the Ohio area. So I finished top 8 at the first one, top 4 at the other 2 that I did, which got me a total of 99 championship points towards Worlds qualification, or about a fifth of my qualification, which is really, really good progress.
Let's go.
Played some fucking great Pokemon. It was super fun. Talked to a lot of the really good players. A lot of really, really, really chill guys. Like I said, I've not had a bad interaction with anyone in like the Pokemon community so far. Especially amongst like top players. They're usually pretty chill. It seems like the Spanish ones are off their fucking rocker, but that's okay. Yeah, I had a really productive weekend with that. Like I said, got outbid on another house, which is super frustrating, but hey, what can you do? At least it wasn't by 30 grand this time, like the last house. Caught up with all of our anime during that time. I'm still caught up with Freeran, Apothecary, and Shangri-La. Those are all super good.
I need to watch Apothecary.
And I've been
that's one I actually really want to keep up with.
It's so good. And I've been reading my usuals like Oshinoko and JJK and stuff. One Piece, of course. But yeah, Pokemon's the big thing. I'm now about halfway to qualifying for Worlds. And I made a little tier list of the Pokemon I've used to get championship points that I just sent in the group chat. And so those are the Pokemon I've used so far to earn various amounts of points, basically throughout this season. The plus 99s were all on my team, obviously, this week. And I made some slight changes between days here. But yeah, just fun to look at. The zero lulls are just ones I used during exactly 2 events. Actually, wait, no, they're technically not 0. I got like 4 points for that 12 points for that PC, so I actually need to change that. I forgot about that. But yeah, it's been fun. Pokemon's still fun. I have a couple more events to go to this year, and we'll see if I end up qualifying for Worlds. It's unlikely, but you never know.
Wish you the best of luck.
Me too. Thanks. But I need to copy that and say that because that was the team I used.
It's so crazy. Fluttermane got you the most points because Fluttermane is the strongest mon in this entire fucking generation and format. That's so crazy.
I thought that was Rapid Spinner Shifu.
Nope, that is Dark Shifu. I've not used. This is the only time I've ever used any Urshifu form so far, which is really weird to say because that Pokemon's broken. But yeah, this is the first time I've actually used any of those forms. Yeah, went pretty well though. Pokemon's stupid broken. I don't know why I haven't been able to slot it into teams before, but I actually need to edit that list because it's actually not right now that I'm looking at it because it doesn't have my PCs in there. But
I do also enjoy the Incineroar in Zero Omega Lol.
Yeah, I've earned. Technically, I got 12 with a PC, but it's fine. I forgot that it was a part of my PC teams. But yeah, Incineroar Omega Lol is really funny because I got 0 points in the online competition that I tried with it. Yeah, Fluttermane being number 1 is not a surprise to approximately anybody. That Pokemon's just the best Pokemon in the game.
Yeah, it's fucking stupid.
It has the second highest presence of any Pokemon right now after Incineroar. Just because there's other Pokemon you can kind of use in its slot at times, but yeah.
Nothing is as good of a support as Incineroar. It just sits there and goes hee hee.
Mm-hmm.
Hoo hoo. I fake out and I intimidate, and I'm immune to psychic type moves, and also am a bitch.
They're not immune to psychic type moves. They're dark. Oh, Incineroar, yeah, he is. He's fun balanced. But yeah, I think my favorite team I made was probably the one that probably the one I used last year with my snow team. That it wasn't very good, but it was fun. Also, Articuno just won a regional, which is really stupid because now I have to deal with Articuno and snow, and that's not fun. It literally has a set too that looks like your fucking 10-year-old Timmy set. It had Ice Beam, Freeze Dry, Sheer Cold, and Blizzard, and it was choice specs. It was certainly a regional, but yeah, snow's good. It's good to see.
Does this mean it's time? Or do you have more you need to talk about?
It is, in fact, time.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get into the actual episode of Anime Afraid Save or Slay. We are winter 2024, talking episode 7. This is week 5, and that of course means that we have a brand new power ranking for you. There are going to be spoilers, harsh languages. We're not talking past episode 7, so don't talk about past episode 7. Power ranking. There's a couple of interesting things, particularly off somebody's list in particular, but there's a couple of other things here or there, you know. I think we're gonna have an interesting discussion about a handful of shows, probably.
Maybe.
But we get to kick off with Dungeon Meshi. Well, that wasn't what I wanted to do. There we go. Much better. So yeah, let's get into this episode of Dungeon Meshi. To kick this week's to kick episode 7 off, we are with the group that got obliterated by the fake gold bugs, the jewel bugs, and they were not killed. A retrieval gang finds them and picks them back up and is like, hey, seems like someone made off with all your shit. You should probably go find them. Because they want them to go wind up and kill our main group, so that there's more bodies that they can get to get more money and more spoils from it. So they go on and they run off ahead, and meanwhile we cut back to our main group, and they are making their way, still technically on the 4th floor. They're on like the basement of it, getting ready to transition into the 5th floor. And this is an entirely flooded level, basically. Where underneath the water you can see the town and the city. The group decide. Well, God, give me 1 second. I need to look at a name. Is it Marcel? Marcella?
Marcel.
There are some names I will never properly say. But Marcel needs to clean her hair and realizes she has lost her soap because that was with the dragon. And she makes a point to Senshi that he needs to bathe because her magic might not conduct properly if he is filthy. And as we see, she decides to cast Water Walk on the group. And Senshi does not. He cannot stand on water because he's a dirty boy. But he has a solution to this, which is doing things the hard way and using pieces of the mimic meat to call upon a Kelpie. The most beautiful fucking looking Kelpie I've ever seen in any depiction of my entire life.
So clean.
For a brief moment. At which point Leos goes, no, you're not gonna ride the Kelpie. And he goes, I don't see the problem. I've been friends with this Kelpie for years. She's great. Is her name Nancy? He has a very normal name for
I think it's Anne.
Yeah, that's right. It's Anne.
I want to say that's.
Yeah, that sounds much better.
Because the scene when he's underwater, it's like,
yes.
Anne stop?
Yes. But so a moment from my boy Leos where he just goes, no, that's a monster. It's going to kill you. It's just been waiting to kill you. Particularly this monster lures you out to sea and then kills you. I'm gonna beg you, do not get on the back of that horse. And said she goes, nah, gets on the back of the horse, and lo and behold, it tries to kill him. Thankfully, him and Leos are able to deal with it. And then he starts getting ready. Senshi starts getting ready to pay his respects to his now forgotten murderous friend by making it into food. And Marcelo is like, hey, can I just get some of that fat? Don't worry about it. Just give me some time. And that means that Leos and Chilchuk get to go on a little side adventure where they stumble upon that adventuring party from earlier who somehow got ahead of them and is also unconscious on the water again, seemingly due to falling prey to a merman. We then get into a large debate about whether it is ethical to eat demi-humans again, to which Leos goes, I mean, it's a sliding... we have the furry sliding scale discussion, but about fish people, where he's like, think about it. Predominantly more fish than man. Just saying. It's basically a monster. And Chilchuk's like, no, we are not doing this. We're gonna go back. And then Chilchuk gets siren-songed, to which we might have my favorite scene of all time, which is Leos loudly singing the siren song back at them until they leave because they hate the way his voice sounds. This is lovely and unexpected. And I think I'll have to go watch this episode dubbed to hear Damien Haas do it.
Damien fucking kills it. Oh my god, that's wonderful.
I can imagine. The man actually does have some singing chops, so I imagine that if he fucking obliterates
he fucking
that
kills
scene.
it. The show's so good, dub. Oh my god.
And then they get back, and Leo's like, okay, well, we're gonna, I'm gonna use some of the seaweed I got, and Children's like, that was on the merman's head. And he goes, don't, it's just a regular plant. It's fine. He says, knowing in the back of his mind what's about to happen. And then they get to have a nice little meal, and they find out that there's some merman eggs in there, which makes Chilchuck very mad. But then he winds up losing this argument because the group thinks it's tasty, and that's unfortunate. And so then we bathe Senshi with the new soap. He becomes a very fluffy puffy boy, with his big old beard. And they start to make their way through when they get attacked by bladefish on the lake. At which point Senshi's like, hey, no magic to kill the bladefish. That will destroy the ecosystem. And Marcel goes, I would rather live than preserve a monster ecosystem. Forgive me. And then they get attacked by a kraken. This entire scene is raw as hell. It's really cool. They kill the kraken. They eat the kraken. And then we do something I'm not a fan of. Which is there's a parasitic worm inside of the kraken, and Leos eats a bit of that raw, which you shouldn't fucking do. And so he has a hole in his stomach because he deserves it for being a monster himself. And that's the episode. And Senshi talks about the cycle of the ecosystem. It is a good old time. I think this episode fucking rules. I think this episode's incredible. The bits are really strong. It's moving them along. It's, kind of taking everything the group's kind of done up to this point. It's using some of the stuff from previous episodes. It's probably the episode that has, like, the most through line of, like, okay, here's where we were. Here's where we are. Here's where everyone is coming together. Like, in previous episodes, Leos was like, hey, save your magic because we're gonna need it, and now they need it. You get to kind of see everybody shine here but Chilchuck, and that's fine. He's had a lot of time recently to do his actual dungeon crawling, halfling rogue things. God, everything with the Kraken fight looks incredible. This entire area down here looks great. The stuff with the Kelpie is also phenomenal. That is why this is my number one this week, is because I think this episode just is fucking out of the park, from where we have been, for me personally.
No, I'm with you. I think this episode was fantastic. Yeah, it was so good.
I think this episode was really good. Like, I know I have it the lowest out of everyone on the list, but it's also fourth. Like, I think this episode was really good. I just like the shows I put up above it more.
No, we'll talk about those too. Which, to be fair, I think I've expressed off podcast. I think we have a really solid general, like a pretty solid general, like, top 4, and, like, I think each of us maybe bumps another show in there to be like a set of 5, or we have like a 3 and we bump a show into the 4, and it just kind of varies between each of us. So yeah, no, I don't. God. Mason, did you watch this dubbed?
No, I watched it subbed.
Okay. So Michael is the only one who got to experience the Damien Haas singing.
I usually watch it dub, and I'm so mad I couldn't fucking this week because I didn't know I let Infex log in at Amber's house.
Unfortunate.
It was so sad, dude. I didn't get to watch a different show as a dub, but that's what really matters.
On,
totally legal streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Do we have other things you want to say about a Dungeon Meshi?
No.
I mean, yeah. I made comments about it as you were going through it. But yeah, the scene where he gets brought under by the Kelpie, it's so good. ProZD goes fucking crazy on the voice acting.
He's so good.
The scene where she gives him the soap, I heard it. It's so good. The show's
also,
just like
her hair up after she cleans it. Good fit. Great design. I love it. She's adorable.
I just love the Kelpie scene where it's just like, no, it's my friend, trust me. And it walks 3 steps and then starts slowly sinking. Oh no! And literally, I was watching this, and Amber is sitting behind me, and she just goes, Never trust a Kelpie. No.
Yeah, no,
like, but it's friend. As he's sinking into the fucking pond.
What's absolutely crazy to me, is that like this mangaka has done interviews and like talks about and like has talked about like a lot of her inspiration, and she like notoriously did not have a lot of like childhood like gaming like references per se. She like had a couple, but like she was not allowed to like do a lot of like big gaming, if I recall correctly. So to see how accurate she nails this depiction of the Kelpie, and then also is able to make it look incredibly beautiful to then be incredibly sinister with it, I think it rules. Fucking rules.
Mm-hmm. I also love his fucking beard after it's clean.
Yes.
And it's just, like literally his entire body. So good.
Also, maybe the biggest brain thing that happens in this episode is that he has Marcel cast Water Walk on the Kraken, which might be the most batshit insane D&D party idea I've ever seen. Of just like,
it's such a cool idea.
It's so sick.
What if you bring the Kraken out of the water by making it walk on the water? It just fucking like thuds on it.
And then just right between the eyes, because it's like that's the one spot where you kill a lot of squid.
Mm-hmm.
So smart. Yeah, no, this episode was rad. Not much more to say about it.
No, not really. Where do I have it? I have it in here. I'm so happy we get to do one of these discussions right now. Next up, we have Metallic Rouge.
Yeah.
This is a week.
Yeah, so this is definitely we're throwing more plot at you. You just kind of have to figure it out. But basically, Rouge is we're coming off the backs of Rouge being arrested by Naomi, and we find out a couple of things, such as Naomi is like really high up in their organization. She's known as the Divine Facilitator, which certainly sounds like an important title. We don't quite know what she actually does yet, but she's definitely important. Essentially, there is a like businessman and one of the guys that's from like the council on robots fucking shit up. I know that's not. Yeah. And they're basically like, yeah, no, you have to hand Rouge over to us because she's like a menace. And Naomi goes, but like, no. Why would I do that? You're just going to use her for the exact same purpose that we are, with no government oversight whatsoever. No. And meanwhile, Jill, the reporter woman, is actually one of the Immortal Nine and breaks Rouge out of jail. And is like, hey, you can help us not be burdened by the Asimov code. You should totally do that. And Rouge goes, I have no clue what you're talking about. Anyways, bye. As Jill starts murdering a whole bunch of guards because they're coming after her because prison break. And then Ace and Alice are also show up, except it's just one of them because it's two people in the same body. And then they end up rescuing Rouge from Jill and the guards, get her to a safe spot with the inspector guy from Okrona.
Well, we have a long conversation.
They have a long conversation about, like, basically why is Rouge, like, killing the Immortal Nine? She's just following orders and doesn't have an actual conscience on it, and this messes her up a bit. And Ace feels like she's just trying to do what's right and trying to find her own way. Alice hates her, and says that she's a bad guy, she's not a good guy. Jawan is alive, He washes up on shore and has another person, another one of the Immortal Nine, pick him up. Also, the Rouge that we saw that was like purple and cyan hair is a different person as well. We found that out.
They're just vibing.
Yeah, they're just vibing out there
in the city while her brother does stuff.
And that's about all that happened this week. It was a lot of talking. It was a little bit of action. And it did look good.
Yo, the action's fucking incredible this week.
Yeah.
These are maybe two of the cooler Immortal Nines in terms of power scopes we've gotten. Yeah. I also think I think we have all 9 now. Because we have the 3 that Rouge has killed.
Mm-hmm.
We have Alice. We have Jill. We have Galleon. If we are to presume, we have the one that he talks to, and then we can presume
we have the researcher, explorer guy,
who seems to be maybe in Naomi's pocket from how she talks about him, because she kind of refers to him like he's a dog, and that just leaves us with this one extra, and that's more of we have a couple of things that can fill that category at this point, Rouge herself, maybe, probably not from how they are portraying it, but maybe whoever this, Neon Rouge is. But we're really close to having all 9. Which is an interesting point to be at.
I mean, it definitely feels like this was going to end at 12 or 13, whatever it ends up ending at. It definitely feels like it's supposed to be just a one core, one and done.
Yeah, I'm still of the opinion that I think this show could really use some extra time to give us more on these characters, but I get, but that's just gonna be a me thing. Yeah, this is gonna be 13. That is just gonna be a me thing till the end of this show. I don't really have any major complaints about the drip feeding of information and keeping a lot of it, and having it be a big mystery. I think that's fine. I actually really like it. My biggest thing right now is just I really would like more time for all of these characters to really feel their motivations and their stances. Because this week it's there's a guy that here's an Ian dying to the Asimov code. You've now seen it. How does it make you feel? It's well, I wish I would have seen a couple more examples of it than this one that was really forced. Which is fine. The situation it occurs in makes perfect sense. But it's to feel again, it's all coming from Rouge's perspective. This is the first time she sees it, so she has to kind of take it at face value of what she just interacts with, which means she can't. It's hard to figure out how to feel about that. But I would really like to. I feel Rouge should be a little further in her mental processing of trying to figure out how she feels. Just because of how much time she spent with people that we don't get to see. She gets to do the bit on the train. You have the little bit of the cooldown after that. She's in the city for a little bit of time. She obviously has the whole memory pod thing that fucks with her. But then they have the ship ride back, and it's she's had time to be around people like Jill and these kids and the twins a little bit. That I'm I feel she should have extra thoughts a little more. Not to say that I think she should know. I don't think there's any problem with the way she handles her conversation with the twins. This is a tricky one for me. Because I am interested to see how this show ends and what they wind up and how they wind up settling on things. But there is also other things that I think I enjoy more than this. So Metallic Rouge is in a complicated seat for me personally.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that. Where it's Metallic Rouge is it feels like it's doing stuff, but at the same time, it leaves me wanting a lot more with what it's trying to do. Because again, it keeps introducing these characters that aren't feeling fully fleshed out, but they should be because they're so important to the overall story, right?
What I'll give to Jill and Ace is that they both feel like fleshed out characters, just ones we don't know, which is fine. But like there are elements to those characters. Like I feel like if we had more time with Jill the reporter, the other side of the character. This is mainly my thing with the Immortal 9 is I think it hinders the kind of story it feels like they're telling to give you so little time with them. Or like understanding of how they view themselves and the world around them when they're in both forms. Like we've gotten a little bit with certain people, but not enough.
Fair.
Exactly. And like my biggest thing with the show is it feels like it'll introduce like these characters and they're like, Rouge, you're going to join our side, right? And she's like, wait, what's your side again? They're like, no, fuck you, and then just start killing people. That's how that episode felt to me. Like, because while we do know Jill as a character, it didn't feel like you're saying, like, it doesn't feel like we know really exactly what the character's trying to do or their motives, and it's just like there's like, all right, fine, I'm just gonna kill everybody then. It was such a weird turn for me.
We have a lot of sides, because like,
yes,
the implication is like you have the Immortal 9, but do you? Like, there is like this kind of portrayal that like they are fighting together and Jill's there to retrieve the codes, and like there is some element of them that are like a together unit, but they feel so fractured in what like their what all their individual goals are. Like I would find it hard to believe that Jill and Gallian and Jallian are on the same team. Like that feels so. And I think it's just because he's such a wild card. But like the rest of their group, again, perhaps I could see that. And then you have Ace, whose side is like, no, we're in agreement of like the Neans should be free, but like we don't agree with the Immortal 9, but we also don't like you coming to kill us. And then you have Naomi Sector, who is doing something, and you have her brother, and you have the original organization they were a part of, because now that's two separate things, right? Like it's kind of hollow. The former organization, whereas you just have him doing his own thing. But yeah, I mean, I stand by what I've said in previous week. Everything else about the show is fucking immaculate in terms of, OST, action, set pieces, theme, mood, tone.
This show just feels like it's doing a lot for a 12-episode show, and I feel like the show's gonna have like a stick to the ending. For some reason, part of me feels like the show just will stick the landing. It's just right now we're in the middle of, instead of explaining anything, they're just adding 17 new plot points every episode, and it just has become a bit much.
What I think is good is I think next episode's gonna be that cooldown for it. It feels very much set up now that Rouge is like on her own with like this former detective, because like all of his clearances are gone, and it's like she's gonna have time to like hopefully talk through and try to understand some things. Is how it feels like it's set up. And then, no offense to the show, what the fuck is the beginning of this episode where we talk about Venus? What the fuck is going on over there?
Okay,
you know that Venus is like trying to be like turned into Earth 2.
Okay, but that's rad as hell. Like
it sure
like
is.
The world building with
no,
it, where it's just like
it's really cool. It's just a lot.
It's also very good on the world building of living life as a Neon fucking sucks.
And then you have like the whole the carnival went off towards one of the moons of Jupiter, and that means they might be part of the alien thing that was a war, or they could be faking it. I'm like, I don't need this level of intricacy for a character that I don't think I'm gonna see for the next 3 episodes.
But they also could have hit a U-turn around the orbit. Yeah. It's like, wouldn't we kind of know though? Like,
nah, they lost him in the fields.
Oh, we lost them there. They just went around and went like, oh fuck, they're going really fast.
Yeah, I'm interested in the show. It's just certainly is giving me a bit much of this.
Fair.
I think that's kind of its thing.
Yeah, like for what it's worth, like the people who are working on I agree with Michael, like I think the show's gonna stick the landing because the people who are writing it and are working on it are like some of like the best people at Bones. Like they do incredible shit, and I don't think, and like quite literally the guy who like conceptualized this is like the Bones mech guy. Like he is the Bones mech fighting guy, and I can't imagine, like I also think quite literally like the head of Bones is also directly working on this show with him, so I can't imagine this is going to be one of those original shows where it's like, yeah, we decided halfway through he was going to get half the expected time he thought to like tell the story he wants to tell. So like I think it will stick its landing. It's just getting there is going to be an interesting challenge with what it's surrounded by.
For sure.
But yeah, Metallic Rouge, probably one of the best OPs of the season though.
Yeah.
Like it's
a good opening.
Unironically, Hokkaido Girls is the funniest one, but
I love that opening so much. Is it good? I don't know, but like, it's a good time.
When the two dabs back to back, that's when I know it's gonna be a good time.
Characters dancing in an opening, pretty base. They hit the fucking Giga dab. They go fucking deep. They go.
I'm very excited to talk about this next show, John.
I am too. The show's cute. So a sign of affection this week. Obviously our boy just went overseas, and Yuki's back home, and she's like, "Well, I want to fly overseas too. I probably need some money. I should probably find a part-time job." And so she messages like a friend, and she tries for a bunch of jobs, and obviously it's gonna be hard for her to find a job given that she literally can't hear, and most jobs require communication skills. So she ends up running into her childhood friend and the sister, and they're talking for a bit. He clearly a little bit jealous still of the girl, and they don't quite know what's going on yet, that she has a boyfriend now, and the sister's trying to say that he has a chance. He does not, but it was very cute. We also get like a side plot of like Emma as well, who's at work, because we know she'll get back involved with it. But basically they're kind of texting back and forth. He's always sending pictures of all the kids he's hanging out with and all the things he's doing and stuff. And then finally, she gets a message that's like, "Hey, where are you at? I'm back." And so she runs into him at this train crossing, and he's like super tan now because he's been overseas for a while. And on the other side of the tracks, he mouths, "Hey, can I give you a hug?" And she's like, "Yeah, I want a hug." And so the train passes, and he sits down, and she leans over to get a hug and gets kissed right in the face. And she's like, "Wait a minute, wait, rewind." And it rewinds backwards, and it says, "Oh no, I misread that." But it's super cute. She also has a moment where she's with like Rin, and she's like, "So how's it going with your boyfriend?" He's like, "Wait." She's like, "Wait, I can call him my boyfriend now?" And it's like, yes, you can call him your boyfriend. And finally, Shin texts Itsuomi, and so he's like, "Hey, would you mind if I introduce you to Shin properly?" And she's like, "Yeah, I can do that." And he's completely changed his hair color from this bright orange to like this like whitish, like purplish color. And that's where the episode ends, at Shin's house. This episode was super cute. The kiss scene was so adorable to me, because it's just like, I like how they explain it too, how like you can misinterpret it between like the two ways they say it. But
and I'll give it this: it doesn't feel bad. It doesn't feel like anyone's taking advantage of it. It doesn't feel like it was on purpose or malicious at all. So I have no issues with the scene. That scene I think is great.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I have a lot to say, but I'd rather open the floor to you guys first before I jump into it.
I will be real. Pretty much the main reason why this is at number 1 is simply because of the scene with her and Oshi, where it shows how they see each other reflected in each other's eyes as each other as kids. It's so fucking good.
That scene is so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, I'll be right back real quick.
And the scene before that, where he signs to her about have you been to his house? It just I am full on board on my view of him that he is not a bad person. He's just someone who hasn't conveyed his feelings and like doesn't plan too clearly based on the type of person he is, like until probably an unfortunate moment. Or just like there is no other option for him. But I think he's such a cool and like deep character in relation to like what motivates him, how he views Yuki. Like he's just like I will give this episode a lot of credit. It really makes me feel The past couple weeks, I'm like, I feel like it's set Itsuomi up to be like maybe not the greatest guy. I think it's doing a really good job of working that back down now, where it's like, yeah, he's just a guy that like you as the viewer don't know enough about yet. So for like this character who is very innocent, very no relationship experience, you are able to go, I could see where there are going to be problems, and I can still see where there are going to be problems, but the dynamic now is more like, wow, these two are actually trying to be in a relationship, and he genuinely seems to care. You don't take multiple arguably days out of your time on like a world round trip to spend time learning sign language with someone you don't care about or are just using to learn, right? Like, he legitimately, genuinely cares about her, and that's really nice. I'm really interested to see, what they're going to wind up doing with all the other relationships that are floating around, because I don't necessarily, I think this is just a nice, refreshing adult romance where, like, things can get complicated, and that's not a bad thing, and it doesn't feel forced. But I agree with you, Mason. I absolutely adored the interaction with Oshi.
Yes.
That fucking scene was rad.
This show's good. It dropped. The only reason it visibly dropped for me is because Dungeon Mesh was just fucking crazy this week.
I really like Dungeon Meshi this week. This was hard between the two of them for me personally, because I thought they were both up there as like about as good as they have been ever so far.
Yeah.
We are back to me. You're gonna have to forgive me this week, gang, because I'm not gonna know any of these new characters' names. Because these are maybe the most fantasy brand names I've ever seen on a cast.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get the spelling on them because I was watching this one dubbed, and I do not remember their names.
Yeah, I would have to pull them all up, but that is not the point. Welcome everybody to this week's episode of Tamer. This week she's on the
4 characters.
She's on the road again.
5
if you count the other
5?
Mage or the other Tamer.
Oh, yeah.
She's on the road again, and this time she is having difficulty catching field mice. And there's also something spooky in the air around her, seemingly some kind of entity that follows her and is potentially trying to murder her. Very powerful.
That thing from Lost.
Fucking wild, dude. But like there is that. I mean, this chase scene is really good. It's really good looking. I enjoyed this a lot. I also like the way the terrain changes, like from less of a forest and more, and like progressively more and more into like a wasteland. Really fits well for like with the build up it goes to. And then we get a bit where her and CL are climbing a mountain, and there's just some Oni around, some ogres around, climbing, doing their thing, hanging off around corners. CL decides to absolutely murder one in a river. She jumps off of a cliff into a river with it. And then Ivy just runs from ogres until she gets caught in a trap, which I think is ironic in multiple ways. And we find out this is a trap set by one of this guy from the Blazing Swords, something along those lines, adventuring party, where they have been sent here to do monster cleanup. They're from the town that she is going to, that starts with an O. And it's him. He's an orange-haired flaming swordsman, who thought he was going to catch an Oni in his trap and instead has caught a small girl and sets the entire field on fire. To which his bro, the archer, the blue hair stoic archer goes, "What the fuck are you doing? There's a child there. Please go save the child who I am shooting down into a field of fire and Onis. Fix your mistake." And then the rest of the crew jumps in. There is the head of the group, who's the older, grizzled, silver-haired adventurer. There is the other guy who seems to be somewhat foreign in relation to the rest of this world's geographical makeup. His name's different. His appearance is different comparatively. He's just another. He seems to be the more of the tank role of the group. And then they have another Tamer who's from a different party who's just vibing with him, and she's got 2 big old slimes that she also keeps in magical bags, because I guess that's what we do in this world. And then Ivy goes back to their campsite with them. We get a cute little scene where, as they're overlooking the campsite, she sees Ciel is okay, and then she gives lots of Dragon Ball Z-esque hand signals to Ciel to get the fuck out of there so that she doesn't get murdered by adventurers. It is cute. And then Ivy goes on down, and the group's like, "Hey, we have the tent next to ours. You can use that. We're gonna go report how things go. We're gonna leave our flaming swordsman down here with you because he's on cooking duty." And he gets sad and he goes, "I can't cook because I burn everything because that's my thing. I use fire." And Ivy goes, "Okay, well, I guess we're gonna make dinner together. Please don't burn the food." And she teaches them how to properly cook. And everyone's like, "This is immaculate. What have you done? Did our boy skimp out of doing food duty?" And he's like, no, I controlled the fire. I swear. I helped. They eat some food, and then our boy just fucking causes a firework to erupt in the sky, and Ivy and her former life brain go, "What if we make more fireworks with metals?" And then we have a fireworks show. And then we get and then we have a scene where they're doing the cleanup, and the leader of the adventuring group is like, "Hey, Ivy, you can go to bed. You made dinner. You're good. We got this." And she's like, "No, I want to, I made dinner. We ate it together. We cleaned it up together. Let me do this." And he's like, "Okay." And then Ivy goes to bed and feeds Sora, and we get a little bit. And at this point, I think there is an argument before this last scene that these adventurers, we don't have enough on to know whether we can trust them or not fully. But then we get the tent convo where the older adventurer is like, "Yeah, I don't like the vibe I'm getting, because that child very much seems like they have not come from a good place where they feel like they have to do everything to feel worth. Like, they made us dinner. That was great. They could have stopped there, but they feel compelled to also help with the cleanup, and that if they don't, they're going to be lesser somehow." And they're like, "We would love to do something and help him, but that might not be your place right now." And I'm really interested to see what they do with this set of characters. I think they're neat. I'm very much enjoying that the adults and older characters in this show really do feel like that with how they read Ivy's behavior and actions. And that when they're somewhat decent people, it feels nice to have them around as potential mentors. The show pretty.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The show does a lot of shots that are really neat, that are like, okay, this is probably Norton, go away. My antivirus is like, "How dare you not have me?" And I'm like, "I have Windows Defender." But like they do a lot of shots that are like really simplistic, where they kind of tear away a lot more of like the bigger landscapes, but I think they really heighten the idea of the child is running through a wasteland on fire. Like, they are not paying attention to the finer details. They are paying attention to the fire and the wasteland and where they are going. It also does that scene where they have all, like, the dolls hung up on the trees. That's a wild fucking scene. Of, like,
yeah.
I'm not exactly sure what the point of this was, but it's a little... It's interesting visually.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, I like Weakest Tamer. I like what it's doing. I certainly agree that it's like, it's interesting to see how people can like aren't just like oblivious to what our main character Ivy's like. Clearly, there's something off, is what they can tell, but they're never quite able to like outright ask it because they actually respect her privacy, which is nice.
Yeah.
And also, it's just interesting that they keep introducing themselves as just going like, "Yes, I'm from this village," and they'll go, "You're like 9."
That's a really far away place in a fantasy
world.
How are you here?
Like, what? You're alive? Did you not see the monsters that were just chasing you? But
no, she's the goat.
Which, like, it's also fair because they don't get to see, like, Sora or Ciel. Like, legitimately, she would not be here if she was not a Tamer, because she would have died a couple of times now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's also interesting that she doesn't like reveal that she's a tamer. I mean, we had another episode where they didn't just like outright say like, "Hey, what's your skill?" Mine is a level 3 existence skill.
Well, right now it feels like they probably think she might have like a cooking skill, from how good she fucking cooked. But like also, I mean we have another tamer around, which I think is an interesting idea, to like pose for an interaction with Ivy. But I also get it because like the moment you reveal you're a tamer, you start talking about levels, right? Like you have to go it goes hand in hand usually, and that's like the one thing she wants to avoid.
Yeah.
Yeah, like the thing with Ogto and Velivera was the second they asked, "Oh, what skill do you have?" They then went, "Oh, what level?"
Mm-hmm.
Well, I understand why she
that's just a thing in this.
It's interesting. But I also wonder just like when like obviously skills are different from like your like actual like blessing from God, right? Or like I guess they do call them what do they call them again? They don't call them skills, do they? They call them
I mean they usually I think they do say skills.
They say skills.
Yeah, and they say
at least in the they should have used the word skill.
Yeah, and they rate it based off the stars.
So I guess my question is just like, what is the tier of like how good you can be at someone? I guess it's just talent versus like practice, right?
Well,
it's like the whole idea, because like obviously you can cook if you just because you don't have a cooking skill doesn't mean you can't cook. It's just a matter of like, how did we get to this point where it's like what is the limit of these? I guess question.
There is like the little bit of like the background idea they've kind of been pushing, where it's like, no, since the skill thing has started being such like like an important thing to most places and people have been putting more priority on it, like people have just started using that to get through their daily lives. So like your fire gets started by the person who has a skill that you can use fire, or that their skill can somehow get them to help make the fire better, whatever it is, right? Like that, like the first like breakaway we got was when we had Ogito, and they were like, yeah, like we have a lot of people on the watch with like fighting skills, but like we all kind of do stuff, like it's okay, like we all know how to do stuff, but for the most part, it's like the world seems to revolve around the skill, where it's like, yeah, you do the skill, you do that thing, that is your life. If you have a lower skill, you're kind of screwed, at least in like smaller communities where it seems less accepted to not have a high skill. But like the bigger cities seem more complicated, and we've only really had the one to get used to. So I'm excited to see the next one, when the next town when she gets there, to see how things might differ. We've had a lot of good people, so I'm starting to get worried that we're about to be in for it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael, you like the dub for this?
Oh no, the dub's really good.
Yeah.
Ivy's really good. All of the side characters have been really good so far. Funniest thing about the show this week gotta be, what the fuck is a fire attack skill? Get the fuck out of here with that.
That's bullshit is what it is.
Like sprinting, intimidation, like those, like I could see those. Intimidation's a little silly, but like
specifically fire attack.
I have a high seeking skill. That actually also kind of works comparatively to other things.
Yeah.
Fire attack?
How crazy do you think we get? Like that was the question we raised, right?
For a 4-star hole digging skill.
You're just done. How do you get away? You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But you know, the show's just really good. It's a well-built fantasy where all the characters just make sense. The rat math is still funny.
We're finally getting away from every single town and city being named the same thing as we move farther and further away from them.
We have reached this tiny cluster of 3 towns that are the same town but not the same town. Or like the idea is that they're like, there's the bigger city which was Latome, and like Latome and Latomi are like small villages like connect to it in like the dukedom or whatever the fuck it would technically be.
Yeah, we have really avoided comparatively to a lot of other fantasy shows recently, we've really avoided like high rulership.
Politics.
Yeah, politics.
Yeah.
Which is a little like
unlike another show this week.
What do you? We're gonna talk about it.
What do you
mean? First, Michael, it's time.
Yo, those Hokkaido gals.
I'm gonna post.
Or that Hokkaido gal. Realistically.
I'm gonna post this screenshot in chat because I feel like you all will appreciate it.
Sometimes right now I don't have stream open. But yeah, so those Hokkaido gals, they do be adorable. Yeah, it's a good quote.
Okay, I was wondering and making sure because like I watched this dub.
I'm pretty sure the dub flat out just is the Japanese.
It's really close from the episode
really close.
I did the comparison
scarily
to.
Close.
Michael, let's talk about this episode of Hokkaido Gals.
So this episode is second episode in the in Natsukawa, I think that's her name, the Natsukawa arc, you could call it. Or the second episode in the test taking arc, whatever you want to call it, whatever. They're taking finals, midterms,
finals,
exams. And yeah, bro certifiably is like, ah shit, getting top 10 is gonna be really hard, even though it certainly feels like it set him up as being like someone who's already used to studying a lot. So like his like really big scare about being in top 10 felt really odd. But it's also top 10.
What I like is that the show makes it apparent, in my opinion, that like it is self-created from him and his grandmother. Because when he starts the study sessions in this episode, she's like, "You seem pretty fucking good. Are you like you have like very minimal room for improvement here?"
Yeah, she's like you could literally by yourself you could probably aim for or like with me you could aim for number 1.
Like he would probably legitimately without the extra study sessions get like 7 or 8. Probably in rank, and he moves up like to 4. Is it that he gets?
He gets 3
or 4. Yeah.
I think it was 30. He said whatever.
It's third, but there's like certain subjects that he's like a little bit lower on. I believe.
Yeah.
Whatever. They talked about some. I love when they mention like the topics on the tests because it's a bunch of fucking bullshit.
Types of topography. Yeah, shoot me. I don't want to be here either.
Yeah. But the idea is like so. This episode centers around her going, yeah, I'll help you study. But like, the school kind of gets like closed after hours and closes early because it's like a thing, so she goes to go home and study. And so they use the library storage room because she's on the library.
She is in fact on the library.
She is in fact on the library.
She is in fact the library.
She is the library because like. The library itself is supposed to be like quiet for self-study things, and there's no way in hell this dude is gonna go home and then go to someone's house that his grandma literally ripping his head off multiple times. So they do study sessions in the library, and Minami the entire time is like, yeah, I'm fucked. I'm absolutely fucked on these tests. Shit's gonna go terrible. Shit is fuck, as one could say lightly. And then Akino's also like, yeah, shit's also fucked. I played too much video games. Stop playing Super Bash Sisters Plus Ultimate 2nd Edition.
You adore this bit.
It's, I do.
You in particular adore this bit, Michael.
Adding new subtitles to the Super Bash Sisters, or the Ultimate Bashes, whatever the again. Doesn't matter because it's a dumb bit. It's just funny. I mean, she's like, yeah, I gamed too hard. But the finals happen. Oh yeah, he absolutely fucking like aces all of them. But like in between like one of the days, Minami sees him like leaving one day, or like in the process of like walking to the library, and then he disappears into the library storage room. Or disappears, and he feels bad that he has to lie to her about where he went. And also, the payment he is giving to Natsukawa for this is a date.
It's a cosplay.
She has known this man for like 2 days, and went, yeah. He wore Japanese. He wore Japanese clothes. I'm a weeb.
Absolute shambles.
They're kind of cute
and then
together.
The episode like ends with them. I mean, they are pretty cute.
Look, I love them. Unironically, I'm here for Natsukawa.
I can't believe this is gonna be a Bokuben where every single one of the ships is actually pretty good.
Oh, Bokuben's so... But yeah. But that's essentially the episode. But like, he gets third in the class. Akino's like... of the 300 in their class, whatever, she's like 140, so she's like barely above the middle. And Minami's like 7 from the bottom.
Yeah, she's not doing hot.
She didn't do too good.
Okay, thing that is like a little knife in this episode is her going, yeah, the only things I really felt good about were the stuff we covered with Tsubasa, and I'm like, that's not fair. We all could have done well, but Grandma's a bitch. It's almost like they could have
done well, but Grandma's a bitch.
And then Akino's
not
mother's
his fault that the first like 3 people he met were females.
Dude, Akino's mother's a fucking tattletale. What a little rat she is, causing trouble, up to no good. Emoticon face.
Stress emoticon.
Okay.
I gotta get back to
her in the dub is so good. She's the most Canadian out of all of them.
Yeah, no, the issue is that we had been doing it on Sundays, and this dub doesn't come out
it comes out on Mondays.
It comes out on Mondays. And because of where we are, it would be exactly on Monday each time.
Yeah. So I'm gonna say it.
Doing weekends.
I don't think this is necessarily a cut and dry vote off. Because I don't necessarily think this was a bad week for this show.
No, that's the problem.
It didn't do any fan
service. None of our
service.
shows had like bad weeks. This was absolutely fine episode. It had like really good emotional bits. It was funny because the show's just like the characters are written in a funny way.
I'm interested to see where like her character dynamic goes with the other two. This might be a week where I'm like, I don't know. Do I think Hokkaido Gals deserves to go? Do I have
nothing deserves to go, but something has to go.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting place to be.
Yeah, because this season certainly is none of these shows are bad. It's just very much we talk about this a lot off podcast. It's very much a personal taste at this point, personal preference with a lot of these shows as to what you want and don't want.
Yeah, what flavor of show?
Yeah, like Hokkaido Gals has had some bad episodes, and it's fair.
It's had some plot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we can be sure.
Episode 1 or 2 certainly did have the come on the titties scene.
Sure did.
No.
Sure did.
Like that did happen. Crazy that they did that. No reason to do that. It actually just detracted from the show.
It truly did.
We're about to talk about a wild fucking show this week. Not because just because boy does it do stuff this week. Let's talk about solo leveling, John.
That's a good thing we did skip this week because it's on break this week and people were not happy about that.
I mean, for what it's worth, even for us, even if we were caught up, because our cycle episode 8 was out by the time we watched 7, so it cycled right anyway that it doesn't really matter. But yeah, also people need to grow up because there was legitimate reason this got a recap, and that was because they're doing a simul dub. And making sure everything comes out together, and one of the voice actors had COVID, so deal with it, grow up.
I love how transparent they were about it. It was awesome.
Yeah,
actually.
It's almost like when you're Crunchyroll's big horse of the season. They care about it.
Crazy. But on the good note, this episode was sick, and so it starts off by Mr. Business Guy, who we saw training last episode, is getting a report. They're like, hey, so there was this dungeon that happened that all these people died in the C rank dungeon except for a D and an E rank. He's like, okay, well, that happens from time to time. They went, yeah, but it's that same E rank that survived that other dungeon. He went, go on. And then it cuts to back home, just bringing home some beer and some fried chicken, sitting down and going, I just fucking murdered people and didn't really think much of it. That's not good.
But you know what? I do it again.
You know what? I do it again. I gotta stay alive. Survival of the fittest. And he knows his notification come up when he drinks beer. That's like, hey, your debuff for health and longevity, your body's curing this toxic, basically on his own, because he got a special long-lasting buff for completing that mission of basically he's immune to a lot of toxic conditions, basically, so he cannot get drunk. And he has improved regeneration. He's like, so that's how my arms regrew. when I was in that situation. He also meets with the D rank defender with the nice armor, who's like, hey, listen, I want to start this company and make our own guild and stuff. So that way, we can make it more balanced and stuff. And he's like, I'm good. And he's like, what about like 30 million? And he's like, I'll get back to you on it.
And then he fucks up by threatening him.
Yeah. In which he just goes, are you sure about that?
Yeah.
I'm level 97. Are you sure about that? We also have Mr. Big Buff Guy, whose brother just got murdered, who's really upset with these two because his brother got murdered, even though he knows for a fact his brother was literally murdering people.
Hey, it's not about what his brother was doing. It's about what happened to him.
And then finally, we also find out that he could actually just the amount of like daily training he can actually go double of, and so he doubles all of it, and then gives him a special loot box in which he pulls a key to hell, or like the Castle of Hell. It's like a rank S dungeon, and he fights like Hell's Gatekeeper Cerberus in this really sick fight scene where he's just getting fucking bodied and mauled, and just using his points to like barely stay up. He's like, oh wait, there's a shop. Oh, these potions suck. Wait a minute, fuck. And eventually he's like, fine, I'll choose the escape stone, and I'll come back, and there it goes. Okay, problem. Basically, he ends up beating this, like, S-rank boss Cerberus by just, like, whittling it down slowly. And go figure, higher-ranked enemies are immune to poison and paralysis debuffs, so maybe we don't rely on those all the time. He does win the fight, though. He gets, like, the door to the castle. He's like, I'll be back for that one. I will die if I keep fighting now. Which is the first time he's been sensible about that, because usually he just goes, I might die here, but I'm going to push on anyways. This time he's like, I might die here. I'll come back later. But he learns that there's basically like an elixir of life in this castle that he could find possibly to help save his mom. So that's why he like immediately jumped at this opportunity, even though it was an S-rank dungeon that was probably going to kill him. But he's also kind of broken now.
Yeah, the setup for okay, I drink beer. The toxins effects does not last really. To set up for the bigger potions that have bigger debuffs, I can take advantage of because they do not affect me, is kind of a wild thing to set up for. This is getting a little out of hand. Which I'm all down for. I think this is a fine episode. Crazy for a villain to walk in and go, okay, when can I go fuck these two up? And his secretary goes, not for a while, sir. And he goes, damn, I'll be back in 7 episodes, and walks away. Kind of based, not gonna lie.
You're booked up for the foreseeable future, sir. Alright.
What are the laws about me?
Fucking ice kid.
Also, implication that he might be, like, in another city or another country, because he's like, so if I go back home and murder somebody, how do the laws work?
Yep. Which, honestly, based as fuck. He's just like, so if I want to commit murder, hear me out.
And she's just like, we're talking about, yeah, you know what we're talking about.
She's just like, again.
You could be extradited, and it's your home state.
You're gonna be extradited. They might do it here. It depends on where you're killing somebody. And he's like, great. What are my plans looking like for this next month? She's like, you're pretty booked up for the next month. He's like, well, they better hope they fucking don't die, or I'm gonna kill them.
Yeah. And then like you also have there's like also a lot of like smaller stuff here of like when he opens the gate, like the first door, he's like, I should expect this to be on the same level of the island, and that didn't go well for the S-rank adventurers. And I'm like, that's a wild thing to learn from here.
We saw that.
Yeah, but like my brain didn't remember it like ending really, really bad for them.
Fair.
Also crazy to have like there are 7 S-rank adventurers, one of who's retired. And it's like, oh, interesting.
There's not many.
No, there are not.
And one of them might be coming to kill him. We don't know what his rank is, but I think he is. Like,
I don't know if he's S. I would probably feel like
he's
A rank, right?
I feel like he's probably on the threshold.
I know he's really broken because he's like, because I think they mentioned
he's got that funky
when, like,
eye, so you know he's powerful. He's got the Danganronpa eye.
I think the one guy mentioned it when they were first like signing up for like going into the dungeon with the crew, or whatever. Yeah. Who his brother was, but I couldn't.
He seems like head of guild material, at least.
Yeah, he is a guild master for one.
Yeah, for somewhere. It's also always one of those things where I have to remember that this setting isn't in Japan because it's a manhwa, so it's
Actually, in Korea.
Yeah, it's a Korea. Most likely south.
Well,
it'd be really fucking wild. It'd be really fucking wild. But no, I think it's a good week. I don't think it, like, the Cerberus fight's cool. Probably a fight that in my brain works better in the manhwa, because you don't have to worry about, like, when you're reading page by page, you're less worried about the health bar number. When you're watching it happen, you're like it's the same thing. It's that thing with, like, having a clock in a scene where you're paying a lot of attention to it to make sure they don't fuck up the clock throughout the pages. Like, the health bar is that, where you're like, he had this much health, he's now being bounced like a fucking bouncy ball back and forth with this doggo. I don't know if he should be alive right now. But I think it's still cool, and I'm willing to ignore that part of it. I am afraid of that video, and I will obviously not be clicking it while we are live. Other thoughts about solo leveling?
It
makes my action brain go brr when it does the pretty fight scenes.
This episode ticked me off a little bit, because he certainly spends the first, like, 3 minutes of the Cerberus fight just not pulling out the teleport crystal and not using it. Why did he take so long to use it, right? And then sit there and go, yes, I must now use my teleport crystal. I'm going to use it in 30 seconds after I get it knocked out of my hand. I don't know. He looked like he was losing that fight from the start, and then chose to wait way too long.
It is wild to be given a situation of, okay, this creature is it basically a fucking wild ass rage mode for 3 minutes, and to go, oh, I was already losing before that. Maybe I should try to outlast it.
Yeah.
It is a little rough of a fight. But I think it looks cool, and I'm generally okay with it. Also, this is the exact kind of thing I talk about, where I'm like,
show that functions by the rule of cool.
Yeah, like, this is exactly what I'm talking about, of like he pulls out the teleportation stone. I have this in case things get bad. Fight. Oh shit, my stone. Like, come on, guys. I've read any piece of literature in this genre before. But also, it's cool. It does what it needs to do.
I mean, at least it didn't pull a fucking essay and would have the teleport crystal not work.
You know what? That probably would be worse.
So, I'm pretty sure I'm also lowest on this show this week. Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, everyone else has it at 3 and I have it at 5. This show is fine. But like you're saying, it is pretty much only the action that it has going for it. And the action for me will only get it so far. The rest of the show is so fucking generic.
This is an interesting thing for me, where like, this will stand the test of, I'm so happy we're getting the manhwas adapted, because for me it's going to be such an interesting scaling of, like, here's Tower of God, here's God of High School, here's solo leveling. How do these interact with each other? Because for a lot of people, it's like, God of High School's action's incredible, but I don't know what the fuck's going on. Is that gonna be worse or better than this, where the action's fucking incredible, but it is the most...
I mean, I could tell you exactly what's going on, because I could give the show a plot summary in approximately 2 sentences.
I am someone who personally still really likes God of High School, and I personally probably like the anime of God of High School more than this right now. Just because I did not get as lost in the end of the season sauce that is God of High School. But
so, my thing is, when it comes to that comparison, at least God of High School tried to do something. This show is not doing anything different from any other show in this genre.
Yeah, I think this show desperately at this point needs its supporting cast.
Yeah.
Like, I get it, it's solo leveling. So, like, on one hand, like, what is a supporting cast? The man does it himself. But also, like, the other characters are interesting in this world and are cool. So, like, I would be excited to see more. I I am curious to see how much this gets hurt by its own pacing of having to build up, and how far they get to adapt. Like, I'm sure this shit gets crazy later, but that's not what we're judging it on.
Yeah.
It's gotta get there.
Too is the fact that this show is definitely what we knew expecting, though, where it's like the story's not strong, however the action and the fight scenes are sick. And I think that's what's hard carrying this show too.
It's interesting because I think when people talk about solo leveling, like I've never... Michael, do you remember, did DJ ever go, no, its writing's not great?
I don't remember. I haven't heard a single thing about its writing.
Right? Yeah. Which maybe that was the warning sign in the...
So, I mean, because Gigok made a video about it forever ago, like year, 2 years ago, whatever, where he's like, yeah, the mon was cool as fuck. But that's literally he legitimately said in like his thing. I think he said it before this came. He's like, the fight scenes are really cool, but I'm scared they're not gonna live up to, because like the manhwa's thing is that the fight scenes are sick.
Yeah.
Compared to other manhwas. But we've had really good anime fight scenes. Fucking JJK season 2 happened.
That was the whole season. Yeah.
You're not allowed to say that, Michael, when you haven't watched it.
I know.
You have other material to pull from. You've seen other good action shows.
I have, but that was the first one that came to my brain.
Michael, you're reading One Piece. You can say One Piece.
One Piece in the anime is fine.
I mean, the stuff in Wano?
I mean, the Drums of Liberation scene's cool, but... Or whatever the fuck that's technically called.
Arguably, Go ahead.
Zoro's
funny laser.
Zoro's fight in Wano is one of the best fights I've ever seen.
Like, arguably, Freerun has some of the best action, which is crazy given that is not what that show is trying to do.
Hmm?
Like, wild. Like, we have... I agree, that's an interesting thing to think about.
Fucking Trigun Stampede had.
Dude, bro, fucking... I'm so upset. So again, sorry, small tangent. Anime awards... Three things most snubbed that have me mad. Witch from Mercury, in no particular. Here, let me put it in incorrect order. Bocchi the Rock, Witch from Mercury, fucking. We just said it, and now my brain. Trigun Stampede. Fucking so upset that those three are so little on that level.
So I will say this. From what they had to work with for Witch from Mercury, because I believe that technically only got the second season.
That is
for this year.
Ouch.
Which I've heard is certainly something going to soon.
It's so, as someone who has watched it, the first half of the second season incredible. The second half is, after having some time to like unpack it and like think about it. It is not great. It is actually pretty fucking bad.
Mason, side point, spoiler alert maybe to chat, does that show end?
Out of nowhere.
Okay.
Oh, they had all of Witch from Mercury.
Oh, did they? Okay. Yeah, because
it was winter of 2022, it was fall of 2022 that it aired, and that was the beginning of this. That was the same season of Bocchi.
Yeah, we liked.
Oh shit!
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
because
that was Bocchi and Chainsaw Man.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy how the things that were that were over a year and a fucking half ago at this point are gonna be forgotten and slept on.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Chainsaw Man deserves best cinematography. That it's literally a fucking movie. Anyway.
Yes.
I'm of the opinion that you should not legally be allowed to take best soundtrack away from a show that is predominantly music and kills it with it, but that's just me. Bocchi the Rock is...
What actually won best soundtrack?
Was it Jujutsu Kaisen?
I don't think it was. AOT, I think. I think AOT took it.
But that's a Sawano score, so like
anyways,
that's deserved at least.
Yeah, but... You know how I feel. We don't want to talk
about the anime awards, we will sit here and complain about them.
I will, which is why I said we shouldn't. Mason, Mr. Villains.
Yeah.
Panda.
Mr. Villain was great this week. So the episode starts off where it's him like fighting the Red Ranger, like, and their fight ends up like culminating at the zoo. And as they're about to like start like punching again after some monologues, there's a little boy that starts crying. And they just kind of stop. And then all of a sudden, over the intercom, they hear, "There's a lost child reported. Please, if you see Keitaro, he likes pandas, and he's got a striped shirt on. Like,
it's time to wear a striped
hey, Ranger.
Shut the fuck up, Sean.
Take him." Like, Mr. Villain just goes, "Hey, Ranger. Lost Child Center, you go back that way, you take a left. I know you can't find it. Go."
Right.
It's wonderful.
Walks away.
He walks away, turns around, and he's just like...
And then,
yeah.
on his way home, he runs into a market that's selling, like, a lot of panda merchandise, and he finds plushies and discovers the difference between plushies can be so great. And he ends up not being able to make a decision, so he just buys both of them. And then there's he goes to an amusement park. He hears about it from his coworker, thinking that there will be different pandas there. He rides. He doesn't get it. And he ends up having a chat with an old man that turns into a child for a second until he does
That scene fucked me up when I saw it. I was like, huh?
That show's so good.
But it gives him, like, the old man gives him some advice of, like, I know you don't get it. You've never been here, right? Like, it's very clear. It's simple. This is where everyone can be young. You can get to be child again. Just enjoy that wonder. Just let it happen. It's fine. Go enjoy pandas, man. So he does. And he finds that there are panda carts here. He rides one, picks up a toy, gives it to his coworker.
Basically, you forgot about the part where he frees the pandas.
Oh yeah. During the bit where he's getting the plushies, he finds Gachapon with different pandas all in their little gacha balls. And he thinks they're trapped, so he just buys all of them.
And then leaves them out in the open, just an army of them.
Leaves them on top of it. Oh, God. And then the last sketch this week is he's at the zoo and is noticing how different pandas have different features and recognize them by name off of this. And then he realizes that one of them, the male panda in this pen, looks a lot like his coworker that we met at last episode.
That panda has no right to be as attractive as it is.
Right.
That's fucking wild. That's about as bad as the Kelpie. I'm like, bro, you guys gotta calm down this week.
Panda had the most cut jawline for no reason. But he then gets to work, starts thinking about the panda, and doesn't want to taint the pandas with his work. So he just stops thinking about it. He just forces himself to stop. And then that's basically the whole episode, as far as I remember.
Yep, that sounds about right. Well, this week was good. I enjoyed it. I liked it a lot. Yeah, no, just the stuff with the old man was like the icing on the cake for the week this week for me. Where I'm like, yeah, this bit's great, incredible.
I've just enjoyed the very introspective bits that this show has. I think it employs its more serious bits at just the right timing, I feel. Balances it and that and the humor really well for this show, I think.
Yeah, this show's really cute. I love how they did like I said, the bit at the start was definitely my favorite part, though, where it's just the directions. But, this show gives me good serotonin. It's just not as much as the other show that gives me good serotonin. Is how I look at it. But, no, this is a really good episode. I agree.
Yeah, this episode's fucking great. Okay. None of these shows are bad. So I feel bad putting any of them low on my PR. They're all good shows. I enjoy all of them. They're all good times. Yeah. My favorite quote of this whole episode, gotta be "for the love of pandas." It's a good quote.
For the pandas.
For the love of pandas, we will put a fight today.
And speaking of for the love of animals, the last show we have to talk about is another animal lover.
It fucking title drops this week. What the fuck? It's not allowed to do that.
It did that last week, I thought.
Did it do it twice? Has it done? It's probably done it multiple times, but it should be.
No, they've said "Fluffy Paradise" a few times, I think.
Yeah.
Also, maybe the greatest screenshot of all time.
No, but that's not the title, Sean. The title is, "I just want to pet fluffy things in this fluffy."
No, it's not. Actually, didn't tell me the title of Jujutsu Kaisen is sorcery fight. I don't believe you.
Actually.
Fucking screenshot rules.
So in this, dude, that's one of the best screenshots this week. So Fluffy Paradise this week. Not about petting cute animals, actually. It's about geopolitical politics and embezzlement.
It's crazy.
As what the fuck happened to my cute show about petting animals? So basically, Nema's like, "Hey, we got to go to the city," but her new not slave friend who evolved is like, "Hey, we got to protect the goblins first." So he goes, "Hey, can you name one of the goblins who's the strongest one, who can also talk a little bit, so that way she can defend the horde?" And she's like, "Yeah, sure, no problem." And then another one comes up and is like, "Hey, wait, name me too." And he's like, "He wants you to name him too." And she's like, "Why?" And he's like, "Because he wants to get strong too, and he's one from a different tribe." And she's like, "Fair enough, but like, listen, you gotta at least be able to like 1v1 a like large hog." And it's like,
there are some wild things in this episode. The single large hog requirement, crazy. Maybe even crazier. The other goblin going, "Don't fucking name him. He's a bitch." Is kind of wild.
The goblin going, "No, he's weak as shit. Don't you dare."
Weak as shit. He doesn't deserve it.
Was I the only person that thought it weird that she's like, "Promise me that by the time I get back, you can take a boar 1v1." And he's like, "Okay," and then she gives him the name right then and there.
Well, it's because she wants to give him enough strength with the because the naming helps get you stronger, enough strength to actually do it a little bit.
There's no way any of the goblins.
If he wasn't willing to be like, "Yeah, I'll get there," then he wasn't worth giving the name to, because he was just gonna shrink it off anyway.
Fair.
I can't wait to come back and see what fucking attractive beings these goblins turn into this week.
But he just comes back. "Hello, master."
I can't wait for the first one that she named to come in with like a women's like pantsuit and just gigantic tits.
Please, for the love of God, don't.
That's just a character from Slime.
But anyways, after this, they go to the city with the family and her thing, and she goes, And Emma just goes, "There's somewhere I want to see," and just like walks off with her ally to go check out the Adventurers Guild, where they meet a lady who just works there, who then then they overhear an argument with a financial advisor of the place, who wants to investigate this embezzlement, and is like yelling at the guild, and she's like, "I can get you a meeting with the Duke," and he's like, "Go away, girl," and she's like, "I'm the daughter of the Duke," and he's like, "Wait. No cap." So the four of them all walk off to go find the Duke, and she sends them a letter and stuff. And they find out, she's like, "I will hear you out, and we will determine if we can talk to this." And he's like, "I don't know if I should explain embezzlement to a literal like 7-year-old." And she's like, "I'm pretty smart." And in her monologue, she's like, "I'm like 27." And so basically, she sends a letter to her dad. They meet up outside the mayor's house, by the way, like with literally everybody and their mother shows up. Where she's like, "Oh, Dad's pissed. My bad. Actually, this is not me." And then suddenly, her brother shows up to help rescue her. And she's like, "Ah, my brother. Good. They always take my side."
I kind of think this is a cop out. I'm not gonna lie.
Followed by the prince and his tiger, who just happened to be in the neighborhood. It felt like, and when they all go, "Yeah, so why, Nema, why are we here anyways?" "Oh, embezzlement, right?" And so they knock on the mayor's house and go, "Hey, how you doing? So about this embezzlement," and he goes, "Oh no," and it's determined that they have an adult conversation, is how she describes it.
Yeah.
And then the best line of the show happens where it's like he argued back and forth with him for a bit, but the only person that would have an argument against Papa is Mama.
He wasn't paying attention to their argument. She was playing with Lars.
True! You are right. God.
Yeah.
I mean, this show's good. It's a nice little enjoyable time. This is a tough week. Because, like, I'm not sure what's going to wind up going this week.
Yeah, I either vote nothing.
I thought about it. I'm not gonna lie, I thought about it, but then I was like, doing that could lead to some funky things happening that I don't want.
Here's the problem.
Like, I could pull a fucking Dylan and vote like 4 or 5.
Here's my thing. If I vote Fluffy, I don't have a girlfriend anymore, so I'm legally not allowed to.
You know what? Hey, just because it's off the show doesn't mean you can't still watch it. You can still watch it with her.
You don't understand, Sean. You guys don't understand. I need to not vote Fluffy.
Well, yeah, you can not vote it. That doesn't mean it's not gonna go off.
Oh no, that's understandable.
I in my brain, I think I know where I lie on some things. I'm gonna actually talk a little bit about this just to like express where I'm at. I would feel wrong voting Metallic Rouge off this week, so that didn't get to slay for me because I don't want to risk that. I think the show deserves a much higher placing than that. I really like Mr. Villain's Day Off, and that has been like a realization forming for the past 2 weeks, and I also don't feel like that is a right vote off this week at all. And I kind of almost feel like Hokkaido Girls is in a spot where I will gladly watch another week of it and then vote it next week. I'm like, sure, I want to know. So, like, for me, this is kind of like this is a fluffy route this week for me personally, where I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't think any of these shows are bad, but maybe it's time to go. It happens eventually. John hasn't lost a show yet. Maybe one of them has to go off soon. He's going to probably have 2 in closing in towards top 3. It'll be real tough to get rid of one of those, I think. I think we're all in agreement one of those is going to the top 3, for sure. And then we're like, the other one's floating there at least. It's okay, Michael. We're going to get Hokkaido Gals top 4. We can do it. The Canadian dub will win it. For what it's worth, I am the person here who's watching it subbed, and I still think the show is actually pretty good. Like I mean, I've been watching it subbed. I typically can't watch it dubbed.
If not for the forced fan service, the show's pretty good. Yeah. I love the dub though. It's just so fucking funny.
That's why I really liked this episode this week. Like, it didn't have like any fan service, and it was just wholesome.
This was a fucking wild scroll to go through. Results are in. Shows that have full saves: Dungeon Meshi, A Side of Affection, and Weakest Tamer. Show that has 1 slay: Metallic Rouge and Solo Leveling. Shows that have 2 slays: Hokkaido Gals and Mr. Villain's Day Off. And the only show with 3 is Fluffy Paradise. I want you to know that scrolling through this is full saves, A slay, full saves, 50-50, 1 slay, 50-50, and then Fluffy Paradise, which is the 3 slays. So that was almost a very wheel scenario. Yeah, I feel justifiable in my choices.
Could have had
this
like
week.
15 ties. That would have been a hell of a wheel.
We would have had that. We might have had someone leaving the podcast this week upset, I'm sure.
Fucking Metallic Rouge somehow goes
on.
No,
again, there's a reason I didn't vote it. Because I do not feel like it deserves to go this early. Maybe if next week it doesn't do anything, we'll have a different conversation. Maybe Hokkaido Gallop will live longer. We'll see. But no, I feel okay about that. Again, like we're at that part where it's like, you either have to have really set yourself apart this season so far, or you have to really start pulling punches now to keep yourself around, I think, is where we're at. Because it is just going to come down to personal preference on how we feel about a show, and if a week's moved it at all for us. And And yeah, this is tough because like I personally don't know what Fluffy Paradise could have done better to stick around. I think it's just other shows had to be worse than it, and that wasn't gonna happen for me personally. Especially considering I am chugging other fantasy stuff that is leagues above this, but that's fine. That's not its fault. It doesn't have to be immaculate. It just has to be fluffy.
Just has to be fluffy.
Just has to be fluffy. And with that, we're done for this week. We kept this under 2 hours with a what we've been up to segment.
Rude.
That's what happens when it's pretty cut and dry, huh?
Yeah.
If we didn't recap, this would be the quickest podcast known to man. We'd just be like, here are our thoughts on Dungeon Meshi. Here are our thoughts on solo leveling. Here's a dissertation about Metallic Rouge. And we're done.
Those pets were... you could say that the paradise was quite fluffy.
God, I feel like there was something about a show this week that I really wanted to talk about. Because it was like... It happened, and I was like, what the fuck was that? And I just can't... I don't remember anymore. So it's fine. It must not have been important. Clearly. But with that, we're out of here. We'll see you guys next week for episodes 8. And next week, after we vote off the show, we'll be halfway done. We're actually technically halfway done because we're going to end with 3 shows. So if you think about it that way, you know...
That's it. So we need a vote of 9 of them.
Yeah, it's week 5. We have 9 weeks. This is technically the halfway point week-wise. But like show count-wise, we'll be down to 6 after next week's episode, which that is the actual full half cut. So that'll be interesting. But we will